Hey everybody, this is my 40-gallon waterfall tank, and tonight I just want to shoot an update, talk about what's going on with it. Pretty much the same as usual. I just got done a big water change last night, and of course the reason I did the big water change is because I've got aphids all over my plants, and no matter what I do, I will never ever get on top of the aphids. So we'll have a little chat about that and discuss what I've been doing and so on and so forth. So the plants are really filling in nice. My method of constantly staying on top of the aphids is working, but it's labor intensive. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I don't have a whole lot of a choice. You can see I've got my daylilies, have quite a few flower spikes coming off of them. My hosta, that sort of tagged along when I dug up those daylilies. You can see those hosta leaves growing in back there. I want to say this is vinca. You can see the vinca has turned upright and is growing back up towards the light. I've got my variegated sweet potato all the way down here. This has aphids all over it. And then of course this broadleaf, whatever this thing is, always has aphids on it. You can actually see one right there crawling right in front of us. So I know that one's still alive. You can see right here, this one's still crawling around. So a bunch of those are dead, a bunch of them are still alive. The reason I can't kill them off is because of the situation I'm in. I've dealt with aphids before in other situations, and depending on what that situation is, there are ways to deal with it. Either fairly harsh, like pyrethrins or 7 dust or something like that. You can do the simple soapy water solution. That works very well. But that usually works with houseplants like these, for example. I can pick these up, I can take them outside, I can spray them, really soak them down. I can spray the soil, I can leave them outside separate from each other, do that for 3-4 days in a row until there's no more aphids on them, and then the problem is solved. I can't do that with all of this stuff. I can't take it apart, I can't pull it outside. So if there's one tiny little crack or crevice that an aphid's able to hide in and avoid my spray, that's all it takes. Aphids are born pregnant. So within a day or two, I've got more aphids. All I have to do is miss one. And you can well imagine how easy it would be for me to miss a single aphid in this entire setup. And of course, I'm dealing with running water. So the water washing soap away from things is a factor. And then of course I'm limited on how much and what I can, use and how much of it I can use here because it's an aquatic environment with fish living in it. So, I'm really, really limited on what I can do with treating these aphids. I've gotten a lot of suggestions from a lot of people, and again, a lot of them are all good suggestions. It just depends on what circumstances they are. I've been given the suggestion of using the nicotine juice. I don't really want to squirt a carcinogenic, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't even think of what the word I'm looking for is now. But I don't want to spray nicotine in my tank. It's a, that's going to drive me crazy now. I cannot think of the word I'm looking for. It's a stimulant. There we go. I do not necessarily want to put a carcinogenic stimulant in my fish tank water. I don't know what, if any, effect that would have on the fish, but I really don't want to juice them up with nicotine. Again, the stuff like 7 dust, pyrethrins, you can't use any of that stuff near aquatic life. So I'm just really limited to what I can do. As far as treating for aphids. So probably going to be the same old story. Every time I do an update on this, I'm going to talk about how I did a huge water change, sprayed everything for aphids, sprayed with soapy water, so on and so forth. And so that's going to be about it for what I did as far as how I treated it. As far as what the tank looks like, I'm really happy with it. Everybody's doing really well and looking good. My temple plant that I put right there in the front seems to be doing well. I don't know if we can see it now. You can kind of see a little bit of roots going through there, and I think that is from this plant here. So hopefully we'll see that plant growing up and emergent. The temple plant back here is still doing really well, and that is pretty much at the surface now. So pretty soon we should be able to get some emergent growth off of that. I don't know how it's going to do because it's actually kind of coming up underneath of the waterfall. It's going to have to come up and forward. but I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. I'm probably going to have to either remove this geranium or take it outside or cut it back or do something. It's getting really leggy and it's growing way over to the side, so if I don't keep the planter very moist, it falls over. It's too heavy and lopsided, so I either need to transplant it and twist it upright or just take it outside. It's probably going to wind up going outside. My other bright red Rex begonia that I had down here, if you remember that, it had that like sort of red shimmer, shiny leaves on it. That's now upstairs and it's making its way out into the yard for the summer, and it'll come back inside, when the weather turns again next autumn. But for now, it's going to be an outside plant. Not a lot more to think about. Eventually, my little Dumbo guppy is going to go in here. I did actually go to the pet store the other day. I went to PetSmart and was going to pick up a few more of these yellow guppies. I really love these yellow guppies, especially underneath of this light. And whoever the person at the store was just busy bagging up crickets for nobody in particular. Just pre-bagging the crickets and counting them out, and they looked up at me 2 or 3 times and smiled and went back to doing the crickets. And, eventually I guess they weren't interested in helping me, so I left. And then, oddly enough, I went over to the Petco and had virtually the same experience. Several employees were busy building a shelf or putting a display or something together, and they all just kept looking at me, and I guess since I didn't ask for help, they assumed I didn't need any, and so after 10 minutes of that, I decided they weren't too interested in helping me either, so I left and came home with no guppies. I am hoping to get down House of Tropicals very soon, and if I do, I might be able to bring something interesting back. I'm very tight on funds at the moment, but I am going to be down in that area soon, and I do plan on swinging in, if nothing else, just to say hey to everybody. I haven't seen him in a while. It's been 6 months since I've been down there, something like that. So we'll see how that goes. But maybe I'll bring home something exciting for this tank, or maybe, something for one of my other tanks. I've got lots of need at the moment to put fish in quite a few of my tanks. So there you go. Make sure you're subscribed. These daylilies are going to be blooming pretty soon. That's going to be pretty interesting to see. And of course, this, whatever this thing is supposed to bloom. We'll see. I don't know when or what that's going to look like, but we'll see. And then, of course, you don't want to miss these temple plants, or swampweed, as they are also called, growing up and out of the tank, because they get beautiful purple flowers all over them, as you've seen in my office tank, if you're familiar with that one. Imagine what those would look like, under all this lighting, if they were, this tall, coming up out of the tank with all those purple flowers on them. I think they'd be pretty amazing looking. So again, make sure you're subscribed and you won't miss that or anything else I've got coming up. So thanks for watching this one. Don't forget, I call this one my Waterfall Tank. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.